This video is going to be about kind of what's going on with my mother's apartment and family and the identical sister twin. Okay, so look, I'm trying my best. I thought this was a reasonable, good decision. I went to Walmart. I went to Walmart and I got some sleeve protectors. I got some dividers, and I got a binder, a 3-ring binder. And so I got this, so that, and I took it over to my mother's, because anytime that I drive my mother, for whatever reason, every few times she needs me to drive her to the grocery store, she needs me to drive, which she doesn't ever. And this is the first time she's ever had me drive her car to the doctor, so that's what I did. So I don't feel comfortable given the idea that, Frankie and Julian are not in the picture. I hardly ever see Marco. I don't know what the hell's going on with the psychologist. It is very intense and insane, that level of stuff. But I know that I cannot express the level of control and mental gaming and poisoning they're doing when I'm around my mother, and what they're doing to me while I'm there. It is a bloodthirsty fucking war over control, over the money, over my mother, and making excuses. And this is all motivated by the Cooper family. Like, they want their team to win. They're going to get away with. They're going to make up their stories, and it's to train by using aggressive and fearful things. And I just feel like I can't be myself around my mother a lot of the times, or it's not even my mother's sister's twin, so, or triplet. So I got a binder, so that my mother's sister is always telling me, who looks just like my mother's, but I have to call her mother, I have to call her mom. So anyway, I got this binder so that Frankie, Julian, Beto, Lupe, Johnny, any family members, Marco, can look at the book and be like, oh, he's driving, mom to the doctor's office. He bought my mother this, he bought my mother that. Because my mother's identical twin sister, triplet, is having me purchase things on Amazon or whatever website. Whether it's like a special type of socks or some, a booklet or some kind, or a journal or something like that. $20 here, $30 here, $10 here, whatever it may be. So I don't want to be exchanging money, and I feel uncomfortable, especially large monies exchanging. So what I thought that was a good decision is just to get a binder, dividers, and sleeves, and I'll print out the invoice, and I'll write down, bought it from Amazon, paid this for mom, and she prepaid me. So I just spent like $62 to buy her these special underwear she wanted or something like that. So I said, okay. And I said, look, I think this is best, because then Frankie, Marco, Julian, and Beto, whoever in the family, can show up and take a look, be like, okay, this is what Hector's doing. Because there's no documentation in any of this. I understand that this is not an exchange for me for whatever tragedies could be far down the road later in the years that I find out, or months, or whatever. This is not what I'm doing this for. Doing this just for other people to look at and say, look, this is what my family needs to know. So when my mother occasionally wants me to drive, what I told her, I said it would be a good idea for me to write down, drove mom, 12 o'clock to the doctor's office at this address. She had me drive on this day, and that was it. Home address to the address. We came back, we left, and we came back at this time. That's it, right? When my mother recently wanted me to purchase these items that she said she wanted, or she needed, I purchased it for her. I got on, whatever website. I printed out the invoice, and I put it in the binder, so that if Marco comes by and be like, okay, he's spending $60 here for mom, he says he's paid her back, it's there for the family. Bethel looks at it, Lupe or Joni or whatever family member and whoever else is there. But it's for all, and for my mother as well. Okay. Obviously, we live in, these are circumstances where you don't, you know, you never know who you can trust. As far as you could be stealing for money from my mother, you'll never know, whatever. But I know everything's in control, whoever it is in my mother's world, whoever it is. But I thought this was a reasonable decision, just to buy a binder, and I drive my mother somewhere, but I got some dividers, so that way, if there's any other notes that I need to take, so road trips that she needs me to deliver or something like that, or any items that I purchased, I'll just set them there and be like, look, this is what mom said she wanted this, and she paid me. So usually, like, if it's $62.75, I say, hey, mom, just give me $60, or just give me $62. Don't worry about it, okay? And I print out the invoice, and then that's it. Okay, so I thought that this would be really good. It also helps me with the idea that I'm going to school. Hopefully that I'll be able to fully register and start attending for the CNA classes and keep everything sort of documented. And this is not in any way for lawyers, for a future crime, for a future you owe me because I did this, for look what I did, look all these things that I did for mom. This is not why I'm doing this, okay? There is nothing in this life that I could feel that I could ever repay for the brutality of what Frankie did for me, and what my mother did for me when I was younger, because there's no booklet for that. There's no binder and record keeping for that. And I had to draw pictures, I had to draw maps, I had to do all the details as much as I could remember and could in my efforts, hoping that it reached out to the correct people and Frankie's suffering and pain did not just go wasted away to somebody else's and to the wrong people. Obviously, I never got married, had kids, so whatever fantasy world anybody thought I didn't deserve because of what Frankie went through, yeah, well, it worked out for you really well though, huh? But whatever it is with the psychologist, it's there for you. It's there. This is not in any way for me to say, look what I did for strictly for, whatever it is, this is not in any kind of way for that. This is not in any kind of way for me to look down at the journal. I did this. There's no way I could ever repay Frankie or my mother. I couldn't. Let me tell you, I could win $100 million. I could never pay my mother. Whoever already purchased my mother and helped my mother on all these years it goes on, they already gave my mother. Money only takes you so far anymore, especially when you get older. The money doesn't have any more value in it in the way that $100 million isn't worth more than $10 million. 500,000 isn't worth $100 million. My mother's in her 60s. That money doesn't. I'm 42 years old. I'm a prior cancer patient. My mom has several kids and all the things that had happened. That money doesn't have the value of it, doesn't anymore. So I couldn't really ever buy my mother a car, buy my mother a house. Whoever bought all those things for my mother is the one that did that for her. It wasn't me. And I thought that it's a great decision to do this. So Julian walks in. I don't even know if he ever shows up there. To my understanding, he doesn't. Or Marco, he shows up every once in a while. He goes in there, he looks at it. It was like, oh, okay, so he bought mom this. He took mom to, the doctor 4 or 5 times, and yada yada. Okay. So I thought, every time my mother wants to purchase something, I said, and I talked to her, my mother's identical triplet, because remember, I have no contact with my biological mother. I said, look, this is what I'll do. Every time you tell me to purchase something, I'll purchase it out of my account. I'll look for it because she wants me to do internet searching for her. So she says, can you give me these items? She constantly, every once in a while she tells me, hey, can you give me a very specific item? This color, this size. You sure this is what you size color? Okay. Let me look it up. Give me a couple days, or here, let me look it up. I'll purchase it right now, or give me a day or so. I'll look up, Google, see whatever items, who has the best deals, whatever. and it's usually always less than $100. It's always been like $15 here, $20 here, $30 or $7 or whatever it is. So Marco can come by and be like, okay, he's making financial transactions with mom, and so it just kind of helps. I'm sure it adds a lot of positivity as well as to with the atmosphere. Be like to also for them to be more documenting of everything. Um, this is not in any kind of way for me. There's nothing I could ever repay. But this is for the family. Um, it's good practice, for my family to, Bethel comes by and, he wants to, check on my mother, making sure, just keep tabs, and, Looper, Joni, whoever the psychologists are, wells with that situation. So, I thought this would worth me making a video on. So that's what my plans is to do from here on out. Every time I drop my mother off or whatever it is, I'll put down, we went here, I took mom to the doctor's office, came back at this time, and we got, went to a restaurant and ate something, okay? Put down, we stopped by Pies, get something to eat, and then that's it, okay? And then when she wants me to purchase something, I'll print out the invoice, I'll pay for it, put it in the sleeve. When it arrives or whatever, or I show my mother, I said, look, this is what I paid for these items, $62, and I write down, bought it on Amazon, and she paid me back. And I just put it there. So it's for everyone to look at, and whoever it is. But obviously everything is very tightly controlled. Everything is very monitored to the detail. They're blasting the electronic device and everything that's going on. But this would be, good for the family and good for, for the atmosphere. So there's nothing that I could ever do repay. This is not any way. So I hope this helps. And so I really don't like, honestly, to make I like money like that, just because there's so much circumstances and so much stuff that's going on. I feel unsafe because there's just too many other people that really have bad intentions and do shit that it's just like, they're so money hungry, and they're so hungry for the attention and for control and deliver their message that they're willing to kill me for it and sacrifice whoever it is and think that they're doing this for the president or the flag or American flag or whatever, and they'll find their crazy motives to fucking do it. I can't tell you how many times, like, even when I left earlier today, they got these, like, Saudi Arabian or these Ethiopian looking people that look Barack Obama's daughter or some shit, looking at me like straight up fucking murder, like death. And everything I do is a psychological thing that they do. Opening the trunk, opening like a dead body, because obviously my sister passed away. It's fucking crazy. I'm turning around the corner 2 days ago, and this person is looking at me like fucking murder. So, this transgender, but I say this because, look, I was at the hospital waiting with my mother. I don't know, somebody was shooting an electronic device, but I could kind of feel radiated from this person, and but there's a huge amount of manipulation. I could tell you this, by knowing my mother's identical triplets, and even my mother, just because what I grew up with, she is 1,000 billion% vulnerable. She is not in any way, I know, could be, because you have so many people involved fighting, control, dominance, manipulation. My mother doesn't have, and I know it's not the difference between her sister, her triplets, that they have no education. And here, these total strangers they're fighting this huge this whole, sexual, transgender, gay movement against me. Who takes control? who's going to take who's going to make the influences, how they're going to very tactically watch my footsteps. To every footstep I take, they do this, they do this. These are total strangers. They know they have to set in fear in an aggressive way, because remember, they get their 5 minutes talking to me, and they'll try to transgender movement. Like, I'm watching my mother fill out paperwork, and she said, "Hector, you can sit down here." I said, "Well, I just look over her, and I stand against the wall to the side, and I just kind of look to see, how signed paperwork and everything is going on, to sure that I'm there to help and I'm part of this situation, just as there's some sort of more security." And I can tell the person that starts talking is a transgender, and I mean, when I could tell they're talking to my mother, it's like, fucking, I control you. I can know that I can outsmart your dumb ass, and I can take anything I want, and I'll do the influence way how to do it in this very moment, and I can 1,000%. But I don't say anything. I'm polite, nice. My mother just goes, she just sort of pretty good at ignoring most of it. But I remember her talking, and she starts talking to my mother, and she goes like this, like fuck Hector off, like, don't worry about him, we got everything in control, we're going to say what you're going to get and what you're not going to get, this is for what this is. And so it's very like that. So I don't say anything, I just make sure that there's some support. But I say this because when you act aggressive in these types of very aggressive ways and stares, they know that it affects you in the way that it'll sabotage you, and it's to you make all the wrong decisions, and that's the only purpose of that. They know that this is for Kenneth, this is for Kenneth's family, Cooper's family, this is to help who the hero was, who's been the hero the whole time, and scum me, and we're going to use your mother to use your own mother for the trash can, and your dead sister. No, it was Sarah Cooper. No, it was this right here. No, the white is going to win. No, Marco's going to take charge because Julian's going to take charge because this is real gay movement. Remember, you're straight. You were just lying the whole time. It's 100,000% like that. It's focused all like that. Everything everybody tells me, it's not to help me. It's to maybe I can get him to go the wrong direction and sabotage and bury myself even more, thinking that that's what the intentions of what I did or what was going on, and that's not the truth. But as long as there's no defense, just like what happened to Frankie and happened to my mother all these years, and they threw me out of the picture, they're going to continue doing that. Because remember, they want their hero always to be a hero, and what scares me about this circumstance, I don't like to be around people with a mindset that is like self-destructive down the rat hole. Like, I want to do this and just go down the rat hole, and like a murder-suicide is something like crazy. Like, they're just going to do as much as sabotage. They don't care. This is for the America. This is for Ken Cooper, and this is for Ken. He was only an angel. So I'm telling you, no one seems to be listening to me, how truthful I am and what I actually went through. And so much time has gone by. They're getting my mother's twin to try to defend Kenneth and poison the situation. I can never explain how much shit is going on that it is hard for me to understand that how something can get away with this, and I took the entire blame for this along with Frankie. And I'm nearly digging in trash cans. I can't find a job. They're just stealing and taking. This is from Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson in the moon. This is for the huge power of millions of fucking people. Like, it's fucking crazy. I'm 42 years old. Any glamour is long been dead and gone. It's a different world. Very different. But I thought I'd make this, video so understand that when I'm with my mother, it's very tactical. They know that where to put that brain, what we're going to steal and take away from you, so that no matter how much psychology gets involved, no matter how much anybody, to cause pain and suffering, throw you in the casket, throw Hector in the casket. I don't care. We're going to make this one the hero. We're going to forgive this one and forgive this one. But you're still infected and almost dead. We took your life away. I feel good putting pain and suffering in your life. No, I'm smarter. I don't. They have no business on that table. It doesn't belong in anything. But it's to take those influences to do that. So hopefully the right people are involved that are much smarter than me. I'm not the professional, obviously, everything that's going on. They're in control of everything, but I hope me getting this binder helps a little bit, just a little bit, and it's there. It's good. It's good. So if I go to church, or like with my mother or twin, she wants to go to church one day, I'll write down a little note. Went to church one day with mom. Or if I go to a restaurant, I went to a restaurant, like earlier today, we went to Popeyes and got something to eat. And I'll say, okay, spent an hour at Popeyes, we went got something to eat, we were there for an hour, she paid for the meal. But I always offer to pay for the meal, or at least pay for mine. I don't like my mother spending her own money, but sometimes she's like, oh, don't worry about it, I'll pay for the meal, But most of the time, every time, I've even given my mother money before, like $20 here, or I don't even remember how many times, but just to know that I'm not taking any money away. So like, even if I gave her $20 or $30, so don't worry about it. You pick me up a couple times, you feed me, that food ain't free. The food is not free. So I spent some money, it gives, for any expenses, so you're not really losing anything. It's just to, have something to eat. Life is really short. You never know what can happen. I just got done watching some videos yesterday of people that have cancer, stage 4 cancer, and stage 3, and people that have, brain cancer or a brain hemorrhage and all these. It's very frightening, because when I watch these videos, I think of myself of what I went through. And I hear all kinds of stories. There's people that are almost had cancer. There's people who live in hotels that had to go through all kinds of cancers. And it's just really awful. It's a really bad world. But whatever goes on in my mother's world and who's controlling the situation, whatever, I'm being honest, I don't like dealing with financial, exchanges. I know that somebody's stripping everything from the father that raised me and taking advantage of. That's exactly what they fucking did. And they're entirely doing this to make this to work out for themselves, and more painful and suffering for me to take away, and for Frankie, and then say who the hero was. And no, this is really what happened. They don't know, and they're making up stories, and they're going to continue doing it. Everything that can play an influence, so I make the wrong decisions. It plays in more painful for me and more of an enemy toward my own personal immediate family, the better it is for them, and the more it makes them happy. That's what the objective is. That's what they want. Because remember, it's just, this one got a better life and this one's white over here. And no, it's just race doesn't matter. No, it's just, you're going to get a DJ career. No, it's just, you're going to go to school. But whatever the circumstances is, anytime you get a lot of people that don't like you, whether for whatever reason, and in my case, it's because I have not seen any heterosexual females at all, zero, but my own fucking mother's, my own mother's identical triplets, all have been extracted from me. And all this homosexual and transgender shit becomes a full-blown war against me. Just full-blown war. You start getting people talking, and it creates hatred and persecution directed at me in every way you can imagine. Like it's just a free punching bag to beat the shit out of whenever you want to. Because, shit got really bad, and now the people that are responsible don't want to take any responsibility or get any blame for it. And it's scary when people are willing to do what they're willing to do. They're willing to go to the funeral with their own life just for the cause of who got it and who didn't. And they ain't gonna care. What Frankie went through, what what I went through, they don't care. I mean, this isn't a free money giveaway, but that's my father's money. It's $175,000. Worked an entire lifetime, and nobody cared to ask me these questions and took off. That the money that my mother gave me when my father passed away, the police officers took all that. They took my fucking car. They took everything. The money that I owed my uncle, my stepbrother Robert Palomo to fix that transmission, I still owe him that money, and they took the car anyway. They towed it. That's not even the 40 tickets that I paid for, and all the times I paid out of getting the car out of the impound. I probably spent close to probably $2,500, way more than that. Probably about close to $3,000 ever since I owned that car, paying my car out of the impound. I mean, I paid one time. I think I paid like $1,500. I got like a tax return, and from the IRS, and I got that money just to pull my car out of the impound because it was there for like over a week because I was in jail for some tickets, you know, and then it didn't matter. A month later, they towed my car. There were several other times where my mother drove, I didn't know it was my mother, but my mother drove me to the impound in Carrollton. And I went there, she let me borrow $500. She let me borrow $600. I'm not kidding you, she let me borrow, and I paid her back to get my car to the impound. I pulled my car to the impound and just have it parked somewhere. Because they would just take my car. They would just take whatever the fuck they wanted. And it was so consistent of the employees and the police officers. It caused, this was all for the fight, but they're not going to tell you. For Kenneth Cooper at the radio station, this one is the God, this one is the Jesus, this one is the real angel, no, this one's white, this one needs to get, this one's for the whites right over. No, it's not racist. No, it's just because we're going to make sure, hey, we have to put, because he's the enemy. Like, you have no idea. It was just, that's all it was from my 20s. That's all, it was just a cycle of that. And you know, you get scared. I was very scared. I mean, I was hair falling out, shit. I mean, hair was falling out of my beard before I started like plucking my beard out of my face. It was literally falling off my face because the stress was so fucking high. Eyes were sunken into my head. My pupils were like dilated because I was like so stressed. Like, I gotta pay my bills. I gotta try to survive. I gotta make a career. I gotta make a career of myself. I gotta go to school. I gotta settle down to go to school. Just forget about all this stuff, and I really want to start another career, start my life over. That was never gonna let me. It was 1,000% because everyone had their hero that they wanted, and it only wasted and burned out time. And it's too late now. At 42 years old, I'm talking about something that. How many problems are you gonna have in 5 years from now than you do now? Most likely more problems. Most likely. And less opportunities. So it's worth making a conversation. If there's any other ideas I think would be good to add to the binder, I'll add that. Maybe I don't want to mess with medications. I know everything's that, but driving trips and anything that I purchase, and then any meals we go eat. Saying mom paid for us going to McDonald's on a Sunday down the street. That'll be fine. Do a little note there for Marco and the family. Marco has a kid. He has his wife. His girlfriend. And Julian comes by, or Frankie, or Beto, or Joni, or Ceci, or any of the family comes by. They can take a look. Okay, we're watching over. Because my mother's identical triplets. Even though I think they're very close with my other family members, they were never there at all for the entire experience. So they don't know how any of my family members ever were when we were younger. They don't know anything about Lupe. They didn't know anything about Beto. None of our family. They just showed up into the picture, and it's just like, oh, you look exactly like my mother and a triplet, and you're a part of the family now. So their attachment to the family is going to, and memory is going to be completely different than what my mother went through and had to go through. So anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this helps the family and just a little bit. It's just a simple binder, take some notes, and for everyone to look at, for the family. Okay, so hope this helps.